Hi, everybody, and welcome to Over Under with the Edmonton Oilers. I'm happy to be joined by Mark Spector, and let's start with the two stars on this team, Mark, and two of the stars of the National Hockey League. When it comes to Connor McDavid and points, 85 points, do you think he'll go over or under?
Well, Gino, these were the top two scorers in the National Hockey League last year. Obviously, Leon Draisaitl wins the Art Ross, and McDavid was second. McDavid is a career average 1.4 points per game. But the last two seasons, he's been a 1.5 points per game guy. Let's say we get a 56-game season. That still only turns into 84 points, Gino. So I'm going to take the under on Connor McDavid.
All right. Well, it is very close, and I agree with you, especially if you look at last season. If you do the numbers, he would end up at like 84.5. But I think, considering he's been healthy, knock on wood, I'm going to take the over on Connor McDavid when it comes to 85 points. You mentioned Leon Draisaitl, Art Ross Trophy winner and Hart Trophy winner. When it comes to his individual point total of 85, do you think he'll be over or under?
I'm going to take the under on Leon as well. He's exactly a point per game player in his career, 422 points in 422 career games. Last couple seasons, he's averaged 1.4 points per game, so he's obviously improving. But I want to say this, Gino, I think there will be an increased dependency on defensive play. I think the Oilers' mandate this season is going to be to clean up their own end. I don't think either player will average as many points this season as they did last season, because I think they'll be a little more paying a little more attention to their own end of the rink.
Okay, considering he's coming off a career year that got shortened, as every NHL season and for teams got shortened last season, I'm going to go over by a bit. I don't see him necessarily getting to 90 points, but I think he'll be in that 86 to 88 point range. So I'll go over with Leon Draisaitl when it comes to 85 points. You talked about defensive structure, team goals against, which will be very important for every team, including the Edmonton Oilers. If we take the number 3, Mark, do you think they'll be over or under?
I'm going to pick the under, and for the first time in a long time. Do you know, the last 5 seasons, the Oilers have had the 5th worst goals against per game in the National Hockey League. 2 years ago, they were at they allowed 3.3 goals per game. Dave Tippett came along. He's a defensive-minded guy, got him down to exactly 3 goals a game against last year. It's a 3-2 league, right? If you let in 3 goals every night, you're going to lose more than you win. I think Dave Tippett will get this team under 3. I don't know what the number will be, Gene. It's going to start with 2 next season.
Well, I'm going to take the over on this by just a little bit. When I was looking at last season, Boston led the entire National Hockey League when it came to goals allowed at 174. Tampa Bay were at 195, and of course we know Tampa Bay won the Stanley Cup. 13 teams allowed 3 goals or less. It's a number that seems achievable, but then you get into the games, and also at this, Mark, I think in the Canadian division this year, it'll be a little more wide open. So I think the Oilers will be just a little bit over 3. Now, this is an interesting one. Big signing for the Edmonton Oilers in the offseason was Tyson Barrie. We know him as an offensive defenseman. I'll go first this time. Tyson Barrie, when it comes to power play points, 25. Is he over or under? I'm going to go over, which, at that point, you're talking about a point every 2 games just on the power play. But the Oilers did have the number 1 power play last season. And back in 2017-18 with Colorado, he had 31 out of a possible 57 points that he had on the season. 31 came courtesy of the man advantage. So I see Tyson Barrie going over 25 points in the power play.
Well, in the 7 full NHL seasons he's had more than 38 points every single season. Prorate that again to a 56-game season, Gino, that's 26 points. So look, at Oscar Klefbom's not going to play this year, or certainly for the first 4/5 of the year anyhow. Tyson Barrie walks in as the quarterback of the best power play in the league. Last year, it was an amazing 29.5%. That was the best power play in the NHL in like 40 years. So I'll tell you what, Tyson Barrie better have 25 points next year. I think he could get 20 on the power play alone.
All right, and finally, let's have a look at save percentage when it comes to Mikko Koskinen and Mike Smith. .910. Mark, do you think they'll be over that or under that?
I'm going to take the under, and this isn't for me a Mikko Koskinen thing, Gino. Last season, the Oilers had a .912 save percentage. I was 7th from the bottom in the NHL. But here's something you probably didn't know. Among the NHL goalies that played 30 games or more, Koskinen had a .917. That was 12th best in the league among guys who played 30 games. So, you know what? That's okay goaltending. He was the third best on Canadian teams. Here's the problem. Out of those 45 goalies who played 30 games, Mike Smith's .902 save percentage ranked 35th. Smith's going to end up playing half the games. He turns 39 this season. I cannot predict that a guy who's turning 39 this season in goal is going to improve from last year. Gino, just can't do it.
Yeah, and I'm going to take, I'm going to go that they're going to be a little bit over, but I think that Mike Smith, who you mentioned what his save percentage was last year, if you go back during a couple of seasons with Arizona and his first with Calgary, he was in the kind of 914 to 916. Yeah, he has dropped off, but I think that considering Mike is such a battler, he'll kind of raise his save percentage a little bit, and Mikko will stay in and around the same. So it might not be much more than .910, but I think the Oilers will be just a little bit over that. Hey, Mark, this has been fun. Let's do it again soon.
Thanks, Gino.